anytime I switch from one subject to another. But I think a lot of people have always said negative things about Dixie Carter, but I'm not going to go into that. I just want to know, what is your opinion of Dixie Carter and your working relationship with her?
Our relationship's fantastic. Again, somebody who believed in me. I don't know if she saw much before. I know she didn't actually see the conversations, but she's made a point after the first set of tapings in the UK of coming over and just was saying she's glad the team brought me in and see something in the future, and she's done nothing but be honest with the roster the best she could with everything that's been going on. You can't ask for much more. Not many companies would do that with the boss themselves. They just try their best to keep you in the loop of what's going on, and be very genuine about it. It's been nothing but fantastic to me, and as I can see many times, being truthful and trying to do, telling the roster everything she possibly can within confines of contracts. So you can't ask for much more because most bosses would say to go screw yourself.
Now, you mentioned you've almost traveled so many places and you wrestled so many places. Well, have you ever mentioned about wrestling in places like, Japan, Tokyo, in the, Asian area? Have you ever wrestled there?
They're just at WWE for Japan. But that's somewhere that was being talked about and still likely to happen sooner rather than later. I mean, obviously for a particular company, or a particular contract, for a company just moving in and out. But as soon as I was gone, Jericho was the first one that told me, and with Baldo and WWE, that I guess you guys tell me you'd fit in perfectly over there. And I would just watching the shows of so many incredible athletes, and the strong style is a big part of my game. And that's just somewhere I really like, and the style I really like, and it's got some great buzz right now. I definitely want to go over in Japan sooner rather than later.
Now, obviously, with Chris Jericho, he mentioned he's only doing more live events, and he's being the host of Tough Enough, and doing a lot of things that work with him and his band Fozzy. Have you ever gotten the chance to really talk with Jericho, work with Jericho?
I've talked to him a million times. They actually never did single. Hopefully we'll be Rampy at some point. But I consider Chris a friend with many fun nights out, and gives me a lot of advice, and would give me advice anytime I needed it. And one of the first things I did that really got some attention was going on Talk as Jericho. As soon as I was gone from WWE, he messaged me right away and said, "We're getting you on." He was a bit upset about it and just put me over massively, and that also helped get me going. One of the guys who also believed in me. I think that was like the highest listened to one at the time, over guys in Boston and stuff. I didn't know many listeners. I got like a millionaire, I think it was, not more. So it was crazy. He helped get some crazy buzz going for me. And probably off the back of that, people gave me opportunities just on his word, and thankfully they came off. But yeah, he's a great guy, great human being, and a phenomenal performer. His band's awesome too. If you're going to get to them live, they are genuinely good. I'm not just saying that, man.
I definitely know what you mean. They always make it. Jericho always, puts himself over as kind of like the goofball, kind of the goofy type. Do you have any funny Jericho stories that you guys may have had, like a funny run-in or something like that?
First one that springs to mind, I can't remember if I've told it on any interviews or anything. I haven't done many. We were in Abu Dhabi one time, and him and I went to like a rock bar, and then I remember we were drinking a few drinks. There was these Irish guys that were completely smashed. I remember there was one guy, an interesting looking dude, a bit heavier, and his nose, like Jericho described it looked like hamburger, mincemeat, like you see in the packs. And it was very red, absolutely hammered out of his mind. I was talking to him, I can't remember how it all started, and he said something about downing a pint of Guinness, and I was like, I don't want to do that. And I beat you anyway, or whatever I said, and he fired back with you. I mean, no one's ever beat me at the game I drink. I go to the bathroom, come back, the Guinness is there, and he looks at me ready for the challenge, so I down the Guinness, I beat him, and then 5 minutes later, I make a comment to somebody and say, when I beat him over here, he went, no one's ever beat me at the game I drink, and he brought some other drink in. It was this local cocktail, I don't know how to describe it, but basically there's about 5 glasses on top of each other, and it's on fire at one point, and you down it as quick as you can, so I beat him with that as well, and I'm telling a story later that night, and I say, when I beat this guy twice, and looks at me complete like sincerity in his face, and if no one has ever beat me at the game of drink, This happened at least 4 times that night. I just kept forgetting he was so smashed, and I kept beating him every time. That was a fun night for Jericho and I.
Oh, man. I think that's honestly probably the funniest story I've heard on this podcast.
I looked in the guy's face. He just genuinely looked at me like he was so annoyed with me. Nobody has ever beaten me if they gave a drink. Every time I looked down, you can't be serious. This is a joke on a TV show right now.
Oh, man. Jericho always seems like he has like a lot of the best stories. I mean, I just remember he, I don't know if you've heard this from one of his podcasts. When he had Bully Ray on his podcast, he was talking about the infamous TLC botch that they did where Jericho does a bulldog to Bully Ray on the... He hits Bully Ray with a bulldog from a ladder, and Bully Ray just kind of spikes his head really bad, so he gets concussed. He's got this faraway look in his eye, and there's a point in the match where he's supposed to climb the ladder, and Jericho just whispers over to him and just says, "Bubba, climb the ladder." And Bubba just looks at him, and he's just like, "How do I do that?" And
oh my god, I didn't hear that one. I heard one about Bully Ray being in the hospital, and a backstage story, and I guess Vince said something to him and he didn't recognize him or something and told him to F off. I can't remember exactly the story. It's probably on one of the podcasts, but I heard about him. But I think it was from that concussion. He hit his head off the building.
Really? Oh, man.
Realized it.
I've always heard these stories about concussions. Have you ever had like one of those instances where you've just been concussed and you're just like, just out of it?
Yeah, I've only had one that was really bad, just to the point where I didn't remember anything. Obviously, we all get dinged around all the time. It's a scary thing, and companies like WWE and TNA as well, any company, I guess, is very conscious of their performance and their headshots and head injuries. As a performer, you yourself got to be careful, or should be careful anyway, because it can and will cause major damage, just like competitive sports of any kind.
What happened for that concussion?
I was wrestling Jimmy Young in California. When I first got to America, so I just got there, I just turned 22, straight on the road, straight on TV. I was doing a house show, and I got caught by a spin kick at the beginning. Knocked me silly, and I guess I finished the match, which wrestled whatever, 15 minutes, however long the match might have been. I got backstage, I was sitting there, my girlfriend at the time, and Tommy Dreamer was there. That's what I'm told. I don't remember. And I guess Dreamer said to me, "You okay, Drew?" I went, "Yeah, I'm fine. He went, "Where are you right now, Drew?" I looked at him like he was insane and said, "I'm an OVW," where I was at the time for 6 months before it closed. He went, "Okay, he's concussed." I don't remember any of this. And then I left, and the trainer was trying to get hold of me to take me to the hospital to get checked out. And I was at Disneyland, and my phone was turned off. Finally got hold of me and went there. And we're all talking about it, and those two were telling me that story about Tommy, and I was like, "Why would Tommy say?" Actually, sorry, they were telling me that story, Tommy, and I didn't believe them. And he told me a few other things he said, and I was like, "Why would he say that? Why would he say that?" And I was like, "You're concussed. You were concussed really badly," and I just didn't believe it still. For any of this stuff that happened, and then I went there and got checked out, and sure enough, I was wrong pretty good, and they finally convinced me that it all actually happened. It was so weird. I couldn't remember any of these things. Everybody was telling me. I just refused to believe they actually happened.
Wow.
Man. It was a big rip by everybody.
I can only imagine, Tommy's face when you just said, "I'm an OVW right now," and it's just like what? No, you're...
I've seen that a million times, I'm sure. I can picture Tommy in my head. Again, one of my mentors, one of my buddies at a chip, him just going, "Okay, he's concussed." I'm sure I've seen it so many times.
Well, Tommy Dreamer is definitely one of those guys who is definitely a key in wrestling. Is he very easy to work with? Well, actually, have you ever gotten a chance to work with him in the ring, or?
I have. It was one of my initial first matches, probably third or fourth month. That was back in the independent scene. We wrestled in New York, and we had this incredible match in New York City. Yeah, it was a ECW style match, I guess the best way to describe it. Because they had no rules match. We brawled around the building with the trash cans and stuff. And it had a really good story to it as well, like with me not wanting to fight him. And was the older gentleman, let's say. And then he came off awesome. He got in the mic afterwards and really put me over and said really, really nice things that people reference to me all the time this day. And he didn't have to do that, but I guess he was really happy with how it went and how happy I've evolved as a performer and a man, hopefully. And he said some really cool things on the microphone that day, and you can check out. It'll be online and Google, I'm sure. Drew Galloway told me. I'm sure it'll be on there somewhere.
Well, I can only assume that you were kind of working.
YouTube, that's what you call it. The kids call it YouTube, not Google. Google is what, probably.
So in New York City, I mean, that's basically where, ECW really thrives out, because, that's like, where Paul Heyman has a lot of his big time events back in ECW. Well, let's get into that. Paul Heyman, one of the guys who really is one of the best talkers, if not the best talker in WWE today. Have you ever gotten a chance to work alongside with him, or maybe against him?
He is the best talker. But he's another guy. Just gave me some great advice backstage. Just the way he sees myself going, the stuff that I've been very comfortable pulling off, everything we spoke about, the idea of working together as well. I remember somebody had said something, I don't know if I favorited or retweeted or something, and he retweeted it. Didn't remember how many thousands of retweets. The idea of him and I working together was one of his guys, so that would have been obviously so cool. But just getting the advice from somebody with that kind of knowledge, whenever I get the opportunity to speak to anybody that creative, be it behind the screen or wrestlers themselves, or even people that work in any department wrestling around for a while, would always take advantage of it. You can't buy that kind of information.
I think I remember that there was a time where Brock Lesnar came back. I think he was on a rampage, and he F5'd you, Slater, and Mahal. Why do I have this picture in my head that Paul Heyman just comes up to you guys like, hey, how you guys doing? Oh, by the way, you're going to get demolished by Brock Lesnar tonight.
Did we get told?
Yeah, I guess that would be one of the best ways to say it.
Whoever Ryder, like Road Dogg was usually the one that would tell us know what's going on. And I think he just mentioned him. Sometimes you see these 3-on-1 situations. I'm like, my first thought is, I hate Anthony makes wrestling look fake. He was really entertaining. I'm like, this is like a big show would struggle with 3 guys. But, okay, that's believable. When it's like a regular-sized guy or just like a guy 250, 260, it looks so dumb in my opinion. But when he said Brock Lesnar, I instantly went, not a problem. That is believable. I believe he could kill 10 guys by himself. That does not look like fake wrestling whatsoever. Brock Lesnar can kill any man. And I think he talked with him as well. Like, he pulled me aside and we had a good little chat. I wouldn't say anything he said, but he really said some encouraging things that I took to heart and remembered. He's a really good guy and the best athlete on the planet.
And speaking of Brock Lesnar, he's going to be main eventing SummerSlam this Sunday against The Undertaker. And a lot of people remember last time these guys were in the ring, Undertaker got concussed and he got, really battered. Do you think Undertaker's at all going to be, 100% going into this, or even, in healthy form, really?
I think Undertaker's been healthy for about 10 years, but you would never know because he's so good and has such a high pain threshold. You'd never see him miss a step ever. He's just the absolute man. He's the godfather of the WWE, the leader of the locker room leader, and he's not there, he's the leader. He's just the absolute man, and he's just so good. But for any size guy, never mind the guy of his size. I know, everyone knows he can't be 60% half the time, but when he gets in that ring, he's better than anybody's 100% on their best days.
Well, actually, it just occurred to me that you actually were in the ring with the Undertaker when you were doing your Chosen One gimmick. So,
I think it was the match before Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
A retirement match. And I was technically undefeated at the time. And he ended the undefeated streak. I think it was his last match before he fought Michaels. So that was an honor to be in that match for the go-home match to end my streak, so to speak. And the fact that I came out second, generally, he would always come out second, the Undertaker. He came out first, then I came out second, which was also a huge deal. I remember a lot of the writers and agents and stuff being like, well, you don't realize how big that is. And I was like, I think I have been watching it for a while. It was a pretty huge deal. I remember I told this story a couple of times. It gives people a kick. I've not heard it before. I remember Wade Barrett was in NXT Season 1. I keep flipping Wade's face in it, sorry, Stu. But he was in NXT Season 1. And it was myself Taker that day, and I went to try and talk to him. I was a bit nervous by ringside. I'll go talk to my buddy Stu. That made me feel better. And then he was like, Drew, I can't concentrate. I've got a big match today. I just need some time. I was like, all right, no problem, pal. So I left him alone so he could concentrate, worried about his match. I checked the board. It was him and Skip Sheffield, because I was the Ryback now, and we had like 3 minutes or something for the match. And then obviously during the day he went and checked the board and saw that it was me versus Taker. It was amazing. he was like, oh, he came over to me and was like, yeah, sorry about that, mate. And I was a bit nervous, and I went and looked at the board and went,